it's not getting better. I'm looking for it to get better, and it hasn't been getting better.
Yeah. But luckily for them, while everyone's throwing dirt on the team, Tom Brady's about to throw pixie dust on the field. Yo, hold on. Here's the deal. You say this is the worst take. Can I ask you a question, Wilds?
Of course. I'm here.
If someone said something to you that seemed far-fetched, and then they get contemporaneous examples of the exact thing happening, would you say, okay, maybe it's not quite as far-fetched as I thought? Like, just forget everything that happened in New England. I'm not going to bring up Tuck Rule. I'm not going to bring up D Ford offsides.
I'm not going to bring it up, but
I'm not going to bring up any of those. Let's just go since Tom Brady has been in Tampa. First playoff game ever, who do you have to play? The worst team to ever make the playoffs. That seems a little fortunate. Second playoff game ever with Tampa. In the previous 5 years of NFL playoffs, there had been one 4-turnover game until, of course, Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints melted down in front of us. And they turned the ball over 3 times in 15 plays. The very next game, the Packers kick that field goal because they believe they can get the stop, and they get the stop. And it's 4th down, and the Bucs are walking off the field. And then Tom Brady presses that little button he has on his side pocket, and all of a sudden the flag's on the field. And then in the Super Bowl, they play a team that has 5 injured offensive linemen. Then what happened last year? I'm just curious what happened last year. Last year, round 2, they are down 27-3. And then in 19 plays, the Los Angeles Rams had 3 fumbles, 2 punts, and a missed field goal. They also had 4 turnovers in that game. So for those counting, Tom Brady has played 5 playoff games with the Bucs. Okay, or 6, pardon me. 2 of them, the opponents turned the ball over 4 times. That has happened one other time in the last 6 years of NFL playoffs.
You're scarred. You're scarred.
But why would it be different this year?
Because they can't run the ball. That's what it all comes down to, the fact that they can't run the ball. It's like if you were trying to sell your house. And you're like, what about these new cabinets? I'm like, well, here's the problem. You're next to a nuclear waste site. It doesn't matter. All the other stuff doesn't matter. Like, well, I just painted the living room. Like, that doesn't matter. It's a fundamental flaw in the equation. And, Coach, you tell me if I'm wrong, because I might be. But I doubt it, to be honest with you, America. They rush for 76 yards per game last in the NFL. I assume that their third down issues, where they're at 37%, 27, is the fact that they're in 3rd and long a lot because they are having so many problems rushing the ball. True or false?
Well, that plays into it. That's part of it. And then when you can't run the ball and you're just passing the ball and everybody's teeing off, that's a problem too. And Nick, I don't think it's scarred. I think this is all just some way for you to frame it so you can say Tom Brady's success is a fluke.
No, it's
therefore
obviously
Patrick
not.
Mahomes. This all comes back to your Kansas City roots.
No.
Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. Therefore, Tom Brady has some mystical powers that have nothing to do with how he plays.
If the world was fair and just, the Super Bowls right now would be, we all know, 5-3 because they wouldn't have played the Rams and they wouldn't have had the offensive line with the Bucs. But that doesn't matter. It's 7-1. It is not about Patrick Mahomes. It is about the fact that if something happens every single year, I should not be considered the oddball for saying, well, it will happen again this year. The Bucs getting here took the pixie dust Wilds. So Mark Ingram could have just not stepped out of bounds. And the Rams could have simply picked up 1 first down. And the Panthers could have said, hey, Mike Evans, maybe 1 time you beat us in single coverage for a touchdown. Yeah. Maybe 2 times you beat us, but not 3 times, my man. It's already happening. I'm not Chicken Little. The sky has actually already started to fall, and you guys are like, why are the clouds so close? That's not what's going on. So
I believe in Tom Brady, but you got to
run the ball.
You got to run the ball.
So many of those great Tom Brady Super Bowl moments were because of the running game. The 28-point comeback was
sets it up.
Okay.
I think you made a great point.
Thank you, Coach.
I think you
Cowboys, Commanders.
I think you killed it this
I like that more when Coach is over here. Coach's been agreeing with
Sunday 4 on Fox, Cowboys, Commanders. Dallas favored by 7. Some thoughts about resting, but the Cowboys are focused on getting the W. Here's Dak.
We've got to win. The focus first and foremost is win. Play well, yes, and build momentum. And if we win the division title, that's not necessarily up to us at this point. We've just got to go in and take care of our business. But, yeah, that would be great. I mean, you don't play the game checking up every quarter to see what that other score is. You've got to play and, as I always say, be where your feet are, and being focused and just making sure that we're, as I've said, stacking good things and clean up things from last week and be better this week to make sure that we're hitting this thing full stride.
Okay, what do you need to see from Dak?
Okay, so I think what everyone's answer would be is don't throw picks.
That was mine.
Yeah,
you took mine.
That's sorry.
Short segment.
So here's the thing.
Got mine too. I'm done.
I don't necessarily mind if he throws a pick. It's the type of picks he's been throwing. So I think that we've seen some of the, and Dak is obviously not in their category, but aside from Aaron Rodgers, almost all of the, and Patrick Mahomes prior to this year, almost all of the best quarterbacks are also near the league lead in interceptions. Peyton Manning always was. Obviously, Favre notoriously was. Guys that take a lot of shots and try to hit a lot of tight window throws, they're going to throw some picks. I can deal with that. I can deal with the downside of the occasional turnover because I'm getting the upside of the super explosive play, and you're getting more explosive plays than turnovers. What I can't deal with is the picks inside your own 10 and inside the opponent's 10, which is what we have seen over the last few months, where he has thrown picks that have set the other team up for instant scores, or he has thrown picks that have taken points off the board. If you're around midfield and it's 3rd and 8, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a punt anyway, let me try to fit this in there, and you make a mistake, so be it. But he has thrown some back-breaking interceptions that I don't think the Cowboys, forget this game, against Tampa Bay, are going to be able to overcome. So you want to see him start to clean that up this week, Coach.
And I understand what you're saying about the best quarterbacks being somewhere close to the lead in interceptions, but you're talking about a guy who has historically thrown very few interceptions. That's been one of his greatest strengths, and you're seeing a trend here. 3 out of his last 4 games, he's got 2, right?
Yep.
So then the other game, where he throws only 1 interception, he's sacked 6 times. So it's that trend that really bothers you right now. It's not been over the course of the season. It's trending right now. So what I'd have to see from Dak is a much cleaner game across the board. And look, interceptions are bad wherever they show up because they typically lead to points. But it's the volume that he's throwing them at right now that's the biggest issue.
Coach, Dak is very kind of cool, calm, and collected post-game after these interceptions. He's like, you know, it happens, I move on to the next play, which I think is a benefit to sort of have a short memory. At the same time, it keeps happening and happening. Can he flip the switch and be like, you know what, the priority of this game is don't throw interceptions? Because Josh pulled up this graphic of what Stafford was doing at the end of last year. Weeks 15 to 18, turning the ball over. Then you get to the playoffs, you don't. Now, maybe that's just luck. Maybe it's scheme. Maybe it's him making a decision on prioritizing ball control, but is that something that Dak can flip a switch on?
Well, I don't know if it's flipping a switch, but he has shown the ability to not throw interception. This is more of a trend. This is more of an aberration than it is what he typically is.
My only qualification there would be you didn't have as much explosives, and you didn't have the league-leading passer, or the league leaders in points the way they've been the past couple years early in his career when he was great with ball security. So that's where I do think there's a bit of a devil's bargain of the interceptions are naturally going to tick up a bit because they are trying to become more explosive. They don't run the ball as much as some people would like, and so they're going to put the ball in jeopardy some. I think it is trying to thread that needle, which right now Dak's been erring on the wrong side.
And don't press. He presses too much, and that's typically when it leads to picks too.
Coming up next, can Goff outplay Aaron Rodgers? I think so. I ruined the segment.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
You're going to have to sit this one out.
I'm sorry.
Spice in the room.